Hello students, a very warm welcome to Meso study session. So in today's class, I'll be talking about stages in oogenesis. So oogenesis, that means we are talking about the formation of a female gamete, right? Spermatogenesis we have already studied in previous lecture. Now I'll be focusing on the oogenesis only. So to talk about this oogenesis, there are various stages and these various stages are in this diagram. So please have a look. Now as you can see, the oogenesis, that means what I want is a formation of a ovum or the oocyte. What we want is we want a mature oocyte, they should be present. So how does the development occur? That we will learn today. Now to talk about one more thing that I would like to discuss regarding the oogenesis is that this particular step, the whole step you can say, the various steps are there, they are the discontinuous step. Discontinuous steps are there, or you can say the whole process in which the formation of the egg take place, that is not a continuous process. There are certain stages in which they halt itself, and after that there are certain stages they will start again dividing. So in this case, in this particular topic, like from this particular topic, many questions can be asked, that which is that particular stage in which this particular follicle arrest, and like this, there's so many questions can be asked from this topic. And I seriously believe that this is one of the topic in which most of the students, they face so many problems, that ma'am, we are unable to understand this, what actually happened in this case. So this is a complete solution for you. So with this, you'll be able to understand each and every step in detail. Right. So we'll be going very slow so that I can make you understand the exact procedure for the oogenesis. Now initially before birth, or when a baby is there or baby is present, or baby is in the form of a girl, baby is in the form of a fetus. So fetus is that stage in which no other arms or the legs, the limbs, they are not developed. So in the early stages of development, when a girl baby is there, in those ovaries the germinal epithelial cells are present. Now these germinal epithelial cells, some of the cells, the germinal epithelium, certain cells, they are rounded, or they are having a larger volume as compared to the other cells. These cells, they are called as a germinal epithelium cells because they are diploid. So they will be having 46 total number of chromosomes. Right. So initial stages, when a baby is, you can say it is a first month or the first week, like first week when we talk about, the second week when we talk about. So after that, what happens is there is a continuous division. Now this continuous division is termed as a multiplicative phase. So the first phase, you know, that is a multiplicative phase. Multiplicative phase, the name itself indicates that now the multiplication will happen. And in this case, what is the phenomena? That is mitosis happens. So mitosis, the number of the chromosome, they will remain constant in the parent cell as well as in the daughter cell. This is what a mitosis is. So they will undergo a rapid division. So they'll divide at a very fast rate, that up to 6 to 8 weeks. When a fetus is of 6 to 8 weeks, it has around 6 to 7 million of cells. It has around 6 to 7 millions of cells. So this much number of cells, they are actually present. And actually what is happening, there is a continuous division. So can you see this continuous division? So that they have started with a few number of the cells, and now they have a large number of these cells, right? And these large number of cells, they are termed as a primary germ cells. So these are the primary germ cell. So the oogonium, like this, it will divide and it will form the primary germ cell. Is it fine? Is it understood to you? So just remember this thing, that initial stages of development, when a baby is there in a mother's womb only, a girl baby is there, the number of these cells, they will divide at a very fast rate. Yes, there is a one particular stage at which the number also reduces. So what is that? Listen very carefully. Before birth also, before birth, like this is a birth written. Now before birth, what will happen? Certain number of cell among these, they will enter into the primary oocyte stage. They will enlarge itself, they will accumulate large and large number of the cytoplasm, and that we call it as a growth phase. So first was a multiplicative phase and second we have is a growth phase. Now in this growth phase, the first thing is, now it has undergone the process of meiosis. So in the meiosis itself, it will arrest, right? So before birth, now second point, let's talk about the growth phase. Right. So in growth phase, what happens is, now these cells, they will form the primary oocyte. Primary oocyte. Right. And this primary oocyte, they have started the process of meiosis. But though it has started the process of meiosis, but it has stopped itself in the prophase only, where it is written. So it will halt itself that in the prophase 1. So remain at prophase 1. Right? It will halt itself, it will remain at the prophase 1 condition. Now the baby is born. Now mother has given birth to a baby. Now what will happen? Now listen very carefully. Initially we started with a very less number of the cells. They have started dividing and they have formed around 6 to 7 millions of cells. At the time of birth, the number of cells, they also reduces itself. Now as the number of cells, they will reduce. What do you mean by reduction in the number of cells? Because out of the pool of the cells, only certain number of the cells, they will form the primary oocyte. Rest all will not form the primary oocyte. Only certain number will form the primary oocyte, right? And that is termed as a growth phase in which the growth is happening. Accumulation of the cytoplasm, nutrients, etc. and etc. And even in this case, the outermost layer, or you will see that around the ovum, around this egg, there will be formation of large number of the follicular cells. Now these follicular cells, they will divide and they will cover itself. Now once it is there in the prophase 1 of the meiosis, for 12 to 13 years, it will remain in this stage only. At the time of menstrual cycle, out of these pool of the cells which is there in the primary oocyte, only a small number of cells, that is around 400 cells. 400 cells, they will enter into the menstrual cycle. Out of these all, only 400 cells, they will enter in the menstrual cycle. Now, what do you mean by this thing? It means that initially we started with the single cells, or the number of, like you can say a very less number of the cells. They will start increasing. There will be formation of the large number of the cells. After that, the maturation phase is there, the number will reduce. How the number will reduce? Some will remain like this, whereas some will have this capability to form the primary oocyte. Now this primary oocyte, when a baby is born, all these cells, they are in the presence of the primary oocyte stages. Out of these primary oocyte, the number of the primary oocyte, only 400 number of the cells, they will be having this much capability that they can enter into the menstrual cycle. Now what is a menstrual cycle? That is maturation. That means out of the whole pool, 400 will mature, right? So this is another stage, which is a growth stage. Now what will happen? At the time of, you can say the adolescent stage, when like a girl is starting of her first menstrual cycle, at this time what will happen? Now listen to this. This particular primary oocyte will start the meiosis 1. Meiosis 1, which was halted in the stage of a prophase 1. Now it will start that, it will form another structure which is termed as a primary secondary oocyte, and there is a formation of the first polar body. And there is a formation of the first polar body. So that means this first polar, as you can see, this particular first polar body, this is comparatively smaller in size as compared to the secondary oocyte. What's the reason behind it? The reason is it has less number of the cytoplasm, it has less number of the nutrients. All the majority of the cytoplasm, it is present in the secondary oocyte. So it is just a wastage. Now, what is the need of this wastage? Because what we want is the number of chromosome has to be reduced to half. in the case of the primary oocyte, there were 46 chromosomes. But in gametes, we always require half number of the chromosome, because half and half of the male gamete, they will fuse together and they will again form a diploid organism. Now, because it has to reduce the half, certain amount of the chromosome, they have to forward it to the second, that is the first polar body, right? Now, listen very carefully. Now, this secondary oocyte which is formed, it has to undergo, because it has completed the meiosis 1, it will start the second stage, which is a meiosis 2. Yes, it will start the meiosis 2, but again it will arrest itself. And it arrests itself at the metaphase stage. So, once it will arrest itself at the metaphase stage, now they will be looking for certain extrinsic factors so that they can start the second meiosis or the meiosis 2. Now, listen very carefully, right? Now, once it is arrested at the metaphase stage, suppose at this point of time the coitus has happened and now there is an entry of sperm. Now, once there will be entry of sperm, at this point of time what will happen? This secondary oocyte will restart the meiosis 2, and this will occur only after the entry of the sperm. So, once they have started this particular, or once the division or once the sperm has entered, now what will happen? This particular secondary oocyte, it will undergo, it will complete the whole cycle, right? And what it forms is another cell. Now it will be having the nucleus of the sperm also, so that they can fuse together and they can form a zygote. Now listen very carefully. When we talk about, see, there were two phases in which it arrested itself. The first stage was the prophase 1 of the meiosis 1. Now the prophase 1, yes, it will arrest itself. At the adolescent stage, at the time when the girl will undergo the first menstrual cycle, we know that there is release of the hormones which include the LH and FSH, luteinizing hormone and the FSH. So because of those factors, it will start dividing, and what will form is a secondary oocyte. Now again it will arrest itself. Why will they arrest itself? They can start further division, they can form the further cells, they can also form a secondary polar body. What is that thing which stop these cells? That is the centriole. In case of egg, there is no presence of centriole, and this centriole comes from the sperm. So once sperm enter into this secondary oocyte, these centriole, they help in the transfer, or it helps in the actual separation. We know the function of the centriole, which help in the you can say the separation of the sister chromatids. Now one more thing I would like to discuss here. When we talk about the meiosis 1, can you see this? So here the meiosis 1 has occurred. There is a formation of two cells, 23 number of the chromosome, which are reduced to half. So we know that this meiosis 1 process, that is a reductional division. We know this, right? Because why it is a reductional division? One more question which can be asked from this topic. Because in this case, there is a separation of a homologous chromosome. When we talk about the second mechanism, that is a meiosis 2. In the meiosis 2, the number of chromosome, as you can see, 23, it will remain 23, right? Here also it will remain 23. It has become 46 because now they will be having the 23 chromosome from the sperm. So 23 of this and 23 of this, they will form a total 46 chromosome. Now, what we were discussing, we were talking about the second meiosis. So second meiosis, number of chromosome remains same. What's the reason behind it? Because in the meiosis 2, there is a separation of the sister chromatid, not the homologous chromosome. So chromosome number, they will remain always same. So ultimately what we have is a zygote. The zygote will be formed after the fusion of the two of these nucleus, and they will be having 2 in number of the chromosome. Now listen, so overall process of when we talk overall process of the oogenesis involves 3 steps. The first is a multiplication phase, second is a growth phase, and the third one is a menstruation phase. Now listen to this very carefully. When we talk about this much number of the cell, 400 number of the cells, only this much number of cells on an average I am talking about. So only this much number of cells will enter into the menstrual cycle. Now from these pool of the primary oocyte, a certain cell will enter into the, or the cells will enter into the menstrual cycle. Now When we talk about a pregnancy, or when we talk about when a woman, there is a particular age for getting pregnant, like after 30 there are chances of more complication. What's the reason behind it? Because as the time grows, the chances of the chromosomal abnormality which can be seen as in the egg, they can be more, because they are moving towards the aging process. So that is the reason it is always preferred, like it is already, like doctors, they always say that a woman, the best age for the women to get pregnant is before 30. Yes, they can get pregnant after the 30 also, but this is the basic reason behind it, right? So this is the whole process of the oogenesis. So hope this topic is also clear to you, and in case you have any doubt, on our website you will find one option which is a doubt clearing. Go there, register yourself and ask us question. So thank you so much students for watching this. We will be meeting in the next one.